Right now by the one and only Brian Burke for some hockey talk, brought to you by Boston Pizza. Join us every Saturday for Hockey Night in Canada at Boston Pizza. Burke, it is an absolute pleasure. That was a feast of storylines last night. You guys had to chew on. The first period, how that ended, how the game ends, then you got the deal. I mean, that was an interesting night.
It was an interesting night. I mean, you start with the game starts well for Toronto. They get off to an early lead. Then they have a disaster at the end of the period. And after that, they come back to 3-2, then give it right back to the Rangers. And it was really I was disappointed with the way they played in front of the goaltender. I thought they owed Hutchinson a better game than that. And as I said last night, I think they've come to rely on Freddie, because Freddie's had a great year, even though he's hurt right now. I think they've come to rely on him to the point where they're making so many mistakes, but they know they can, as long as they outscore their opponent, they're going to win. Well, guess what? That's the same philosophy you have in beer league. We just got to score more goals than they do. It doesn't matter how many we allow.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It's not fair to the goalies. And in the playoffs, it doesn't work. So that was beer league hockey last night with a goaltender that couldn't make the save they needed. Yeah. They've got to tighten some things up. Then the game ends. You get the characteristic interviews of the players saying the right things. Then you get a funny answer from Sheldon Keefe when they ask who's going to be the starting goaltender in the next game. He says, well, see how Freddie is, and there's some other stuff going, and we're like, whoa, something must be in the works. And then they announce a deal. So I know people are going to say that this was too expensive. I don't think it was. I know people are going to say they should have done this some time ago. Maybe. We don't know what the price tag was, say, 3 weeks ago. For all we know, it was a second-round pick 3 weeks ago, for all we know. And so, to me, you can say it's too late, it's too expensive. I'm going to evaluate it on the basis of last night and where this team is. I think it's a good deal. I think both players are important. I like the price tag. I think Moore is a good player, but not vital to this team. And I wish him well. He seems like a great kid. I wish him well in L.A. The draft pick isn't out of whack for what they've done, and the conditional draft pick building some protection in for L.A. makes sense. I like the goaltender. I think last year was a terrific year. He's big. He's 11th overall first-round pick. It's taken him a while to get there, but I like him. He's athletic. He stops the puck. I like the forward. I've worked in the West for a lot of years, and Clifford's been a problem for my teams since he came into the league. He's mean. He's ugly. I don't mean personally ugly. I mean the way he plays. I'm not going to call Kyle Clifford ugly, believe me.
Right.
But he's an ugly player. Like, he's a hard-nosed.
Which is pretty to you.
Pretty to me, yeah. He's a hard-nosed guy, hits on the road, hits at home, fights when he should. A good positional player, works really hard, very popular teammate. So I like this trade. I think they got two assets back. Everyone's focused on the goaltender, which they needed, but they got two assets back that address needs.
It's interesting to me, and you say address needs, because I asked the question of Kyle Dubas whether this was an acknowledgement of sorts that they needed a little grit, they needed a little sandpaper. And I thought his answer to me was kind of that. Like, we haven't really heard from him that they needed that. And it's not to say that they didn't want it, and I'm not trying to put words into his mouth, but it sounds to me like there was kind of an acknowledgement that that's what they needed.
Well, at the end, I heard the answer, and I agree. At the end, he basically admitted that, yeah, it's something we need. I thought it was a real long tap dance before that to get to say, yeah, we needed it. But look, it's too easy to critique a team when they're losing. It's so easy to pick up a rock.
Right.
They had some good games before this. Now they've had two poor ones in a row. This GM steps in and makes a trade that addresses two positional needs at a price that makes sense. Guess what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Applauding. Good job, Kyle. And these other people that are nitpicking it to death, I don't get it.
Right.
Do you
the other thing is that they're 19-9-3 under Keefe, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, they're a good team under Keefe right now, and I feel like people are losing that because the last two have been ugly.
Things got weird this week.
Yeah.
No, but I think you're bang on, Tim. The record is solid, but things got really weird this week.
Well, you lost your starting goaltender.
Right, and you blew a lead late against a team that you
Your
kind of
MVP.
beat.
Your starting goaltender.
Right.
Now, I think Austin Matthews would be their MVP the way he's played lately, but it's him or Freddie.
Right.
And Freddie has been a star for them. He was picked to play in the All-Star game. It's kind of an indicator that you're playing like a star when you get picked for the All-Star game. It's kind of how they do that.
Right.
Does
make some sense.
It does make a lot of sense. Brian Burke here on Tim and Sid.
Being a star.
He always makes sense.
Unless you're on a crappy team and they got a
Yeah, and then you got to go.
And one guy gets picked.
And one guy gets picked.
Yeah.
Not Freddie.
Yeah. There were 2 guys from his team.
Doing this deal now, is it more a reflection of the information they know about Freddie Anderson, or is it more a reflection of we just can't trust Michael Hutchinson completely right now?
No, I think it's, and I can't speak for Kyle, but here's what I see is, I don't think Freddie has a serious injury. I don't think they're doing this because he's going to be out for a month. Now, I could be dead wrong on that, and I'll know tomorrow. But again, my 3 rules, one of them is that the GM has superior intelligence than I have about that player. So it doesn't appear to me that he's going to be long-term. They need backup goalie points. We put the chart up last night. They have 9 backup goalie points, or secondary goaltending points. You can't say backup because some of these teams platoon, usually use a true 2-man system. They've got 9 backup secondary goalie points. It's not enough, guys. They won't make the playoffs. If Freddie continues to win at the rate he's at, they'll miss the playoffs. They need some backup goaltending points. That's why they did this now, in my view. They've got a couple back-to-backs coming up. And so, yeah, this deal, I like this deal. Now, people say this and that. I've said all along they need to address this. Now they have. I'm happy with this deal.
Right.